Okay, guys, we are in Algebra 2, Mod 8. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. All right, Tuesday, 5/12/20, top left corner of your paper. The title just says linear. If you remember, and you were with me yesterday on Monday the 11th, all we did in our notes was create an outline of what we're going to do day to day for the next 2 weeks in terms of remembering and covering and making sure we've got a nice solid foundation of graphing functions. And I listed yesterday on our outline which type of function we'll cover each day. The goal is to do this quickly and accurately by hand. No calculators allowed. When you head to your class next year, whether it be Advanced Math Trig, College Algebra, College Math, even the College Credit Plus Pre-Calc is an option, you're expected to know how to quickly and accurately sketch and graph any type of function that was in the curriculum from this year. All right, so no calculators. This is I see a function, I can get it into standard form, and I remember the quick technique for drawing it as accurately and quickly as I can. So exactly what I'm doing in the notes will mimic your 4 homework problems for your assignments, and you exactly mimic what I'm doing as you show your work and present the final graphs. You're not looking at a math question app. You're not using a calculator. It's a quick, simple, here's how you do these, and I expect to see the exact same work and the same sketch of the final pictures that I'm showing you here. So please watch the notes, stay with me, take your notes, think with me. This shouldn't take more than 10 minutes ever to sketch 4 types of problems or 4 functions of that type, and then present the 4 homework assignments for you to send me the next day. They'll be worth 8 points each. Each question is 2 points. You get 1 point for the proper procedure and setup that I'm demonstrating, and 1 point, of course, for the final picture. So it's like a little 8-question daily quiz grade based on your sketching of the 4 functions we're going to produce. Okay? So I'm going to do 4 for you. Follow with me, think with me, and then you'll use those same thought processes to produce answers to the 4 homework problems that you've got on the back, okay? All right, 5/12/20, top left corner, linear's the title. Now, number 1, number 2, it doesn't matter. Oh, if I'm graphing a linear function or a function of any kind, isn't your instinct always to quickly get y by itself? Because when you got y by itself and it says y equals blah, 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 you've got your function in standard form, because y equals is the correct symbolism for setting up a function that you're going to graph. So, big deal. Number 1 here, it says negative 2y equals 6. Of course, to get y by itself, we divide by negative 2. The negative 2's would cancel. And I'm going to put it over here because I want room to draw my picture. I get y equals negative 3. Whenever you get y by itself, go ahead and circle it, because that's your, quote, standard form that you're about to now go graph. Now, careful, guys. Don't make this difficult. If you ever have a function that just says y equals some number and there's no x involved, we're not thinking y equals mx plus b and doing all the slope and the y-intercept stuff. This was called a constant function because you've got y equals some constant, some number. So literally, all we're going to do is, since it says y equals negative 3, we're going to go to the y-axis, and we're going to go down to the number negative 3. And because it's y equals that number, we got to draw a horizontal line right through negative 3, and we're done. So, get y by itself. There's no x involved. It's called a constant function. Draw a horizontal line through that number, right through y equals negative 3, and you're done. So, kind of following that same logic, if you look at number 2 here, 3x minus 1 equals 11. Now, that's not an equation that I'm trying to solve. It's a graph I'm trying to draw, but notice x is the only letter involved this time. There is no y. You don't see this very often, but watch. Of course, I'm going to add over the 1 and get 3x equals 12. Divide by 3. And this time I get x equals 4. So I'll circle that. I'll go to my picture. And instead of y equals negative 3 and going to the y-axis and going down 3, it says x equals 4. So I go to the x-axis and go over to 4 and put a dot on that number. And because it's x equals the constant 4, it ends up being a vertical line right through that point. Now that, notice, is not a function, is it? Because it doesn't pass the vertical line test since it ended up being a vertical line. So those are your two rare linear type functions where you've just got a y or just got an x. After those are taken care of, man, we're already on problem 3. See, stay with me here. 2y minus 5x equals negative 8. I hope you're looking at that and thinking, oh, that's a linear function, right? But I also hope you're thinking there's no way you can draw it yet because you don't have it in the mx plus b form, do you? Isn't your instinct to get y by itself? That should always be your instinct. That'll be the theme of the chapter here. Now, I'm going to need some room to do that. So my picture is actually going to end up being down here, nice and neat, your sketch. If my goal is to get that y by itself, of course, we're going to add the 5x over to the right side first. Agreed? You would write 2y equals, if I add over the 5x, I've got 5x minus 8. Divide both sides by 2, and I did it. Y equals, now careful, remember when you did mx plus b for a linear function? We've got 5 over 2, don't we? So I write 5 over 2x minus, and then 8 over 2 gives me 4. Don't make a dumb math mistake and mess up your final answer, because then, of course, your picture will not be accurate. Circle that. That's you getting it into standard form. I don't need a fancy XY table, do I? What's the shortcut for graphing a linear function? Remember that last number, negative 4, is called what? Isn't that your y-intercept? So guys, go to the y-axis and go down 4. Put a dot, right? Negative 4 is my y-intercept. Boom. Keep your pen or pencil there. And now you're going to look at your slope, which is 5/2. Remember, your slope is what? Give me 2 words. Your rise over your run. Rise over run. So I'm going to go to that y-intercept of negative 4. I'm going to rise 5 and run 2. I'm going to rise 5 and I'm going to run 2. Bam. And I connect up my dots and I've got my linear function drawn. Okay? So one more of those and we are all set. Number 4. Again, your goal is to get y by itself. So again, I'm going to take this thing here and shove it to that side. Negative 3y equals, if I add him over, I've got 2x minus 15. Divide by negative 3. Those would cancel. And y equals, okay, now careful. Again, mx plus b is the thought of the day here. I've got a 2 divided by and then a negative 3. A positive over a negative would be what? Negative 2/3 x. Agreed? Don't just copy. Think with me. And then a negative over a negative is a plus 5. And I did it. To graph that one now, my y-intercept is 5, isn't it? The last number is always your y-intercept, your mx plus b. So go up 5. Put a dot. Now, that negative sign we ended up with for our slope, since it's a negative slope, my line better end up going downhill. So when I do my rise and my run, guys, always take the negative and pretend it's attached to the top number. So my rise is -2 and my run is just 3, right? The negative goes with the top number. So I'm going to go down 2, right? I had a rise of -2, and I'm going to run 3, connect them up, and there's my line for that one going downhill. Okay? So in that outline that we produced yesterday, we ended up with several types of functions we want to remember how to draw heading into next year. I think we're okay on linear functions. Horizontal, vertical, slope going uphill, and a linear function whose slope is going downhill. Your 4 homework problems closely mimic those. So if for some reason you get stuck, you're allowed to look at the notes you took and remember how to do the proper steps and get to the finish line, okay? That's why you're taking notes and keeping a notebook to use as a reference tool for any problems you try to do. All right, so for tomorrow, these will be due on what? Wednesday, May 13th at noon. Please keep up on a daily basis. We're not waiting till the end of the week and turning these all in late at one time on Saturday. That's not how this works. You're only getting half credit when you turn it in late the rest of the year. Okay? -3y equals -9. 4x equals -12. 3y minus 5x equals -6. -2y minus x equals -4. Again, -2y minus x equals -4. Those 4 problems, you accurately get y by itself, or as in the case of number 2, get x by itself. Sketch them correctly, accurately, neatly. Shoot me your picture. That's a nice 8-point daily grade. And every day, these will be 8 points apiece. The goal is to produce 3 or 4 functions a day and have them be worth 2 points apiece to finish your grade through the end of next week, okay? Good job. I will see you tomorrow on Wednesday.